Well, good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander David Marsden. We're honoured to acknowledge Major General L. Neil Thurgood, United States Army, and Air Commodore Michael Gray, the Royal Australian Air Force, and the accompanying delegation. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following schools. From South Australia, St Peter's College, St Peter's, and from Victoria, Bialik College, Hawthorn. I invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Smith. William Smith was born in Warialda, New South Wales in 1879 to Peter and Amelia Smith. His father had been born in Holland and spent most of his time at sea, coming to Australia when he was over 40 and marrying Amelia the following year. The Smith family lived in the northern districts of New South Wales, where Peter was engaged on various properties. William probably grew up on these properties and did not attend school. Around the turn of the century, he had a property on Mosquito Creek, and in 1906, his father came to live with him. William enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in January 1916. He underwent a period of training in Australia before leaving for active service overseas with reinforcements to the 33rd Battalion the following May. He first went to England, where he undertook a training course in trench mortars. Around September 1916, he transferred to the 9th Australian Light Trench Mortar Battery and left for the Western Front in late November. The men of the light trench mortars spent the bitterly cold winter of 1916 and 1917 rotating in and out of the front line, building and maintaining trench mortar positions and looking after their equipment. In February 1917, the men of the 9th Light Trench Mortar Battery were in the front line near the French town of Armentières. On the 25th of February, they came under German artillery bombardment. Private Smith was holding a shell for his gun when it became live unexpectedly. He shouted to the men near to him to take cover and threw the shell away. As he dashed to cover himself, he slipped in the trench and the shell exploded before he could get up again. He was killed instantly. Private William Smith was buried in the Saint-Vongin Military Cemetery in Armentières, not far from where his father was born in Holland. Today he lies under the words, "To live in the hearts we leave behind is not to die, gone but not forgotten." He was 38 years old. In Australia, one of his best mates in the Warialda district, Ernest McCumsky, published a memorial notice for William Smith as the first anniversary of his death approached. It read in part, "In loving memory of our hero friend, beloved by comrades one and all. He gave his life, fought to the end, true to his country, mates and all. We often think of him in silence, no eye can see us weep, but loving in our bosom, the memory we shall keep." His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Smith, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.